kingdom within me. Breaking through barriers. Success is what I see.
Well, welcome to Dunamis Women. Today I am Dee Collins and I am the host of this show. I am a Dunamis woman, and that means I am a woman who has been endowed with supernatural strength to birth, believe, press, produce all that God has given me. And that will be you as well if you are a woman. And if you're a man, guess what? We got something for you too. You are awesome. You are a real awesome man. And I'm just so delighted to have Perry Rue, a real awesome man, back with me on this show. Perry, we did such a great job of having so much great dialogue and having you here. But if you missed the first part, go to my YouTube channel, Dunamis Woman, and you will see Perry Rue, part one, you know. But here you are again. Thank you so very much.
I am thrilled. I'm excited to be back.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I learned something about you, you know, and before we get into that,
Yes.
let me publicly say thank you. Thank you. As God has ordered my steps here to the Atlanta area and the Georgia state, coming from the north, Chicago,
Right.
you were the second person that I was met, introduced to me by a powerful woman. And your graciousness and your kindness and your heart lets me know that you are a true man who was called to ministry.
Thank you. Well,
Now you look like it, you know, you got the look. But you know, as it was stated in the Bible,
yeah,
man look at the outward appearance,
that's right.
but God looks at the heart.
Yes.
And I thank you, Charlene, you know what I'm saying, for being that woman who stood by him, because your heart.
Yeah.
And you want to see people do well and prosper, which is why you do what you do
Oh, absolutely.
as a marketplace ministry leader in Faith Positive. But before we get to that, because I'm always getting to the story first.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times we get caught up in what we do
Right.
and we lose sight of who we are.
Yeah.
And in the first part of the show, you was talking about partnership. And you put your foot on it and you got right off of it, because we talked about it a lot.
Right.
But in your marriage of 37 years and how you all have endured, not just about marriage, but I want you to talk about how you and your story have seen the partnership
Yes.
come forth
Yes.
that has made you the man you are today.
Yes. You know, it's just God's model. Partnership too. You know, it's not good for man to be alone.
Yes.
And I also tell guys, be alone with your thoughts. That's the most dangerous place
Yes, it is.
that
It
you
is.
can be. But it's really God's design as pertains to partnership. You know, we see that in marriage. We see that in the workplace, in the marketplace, and in the ministry. You know, when Jesus sent his disciples out, he always sent them out in two.
twos, partnership.
That's right. Whether it was 2 or 72, he always
That's
sent
the
them
two.
out in two. And you know, when I was introduced to you, the Rolodex, I know I'm dating myself, but the Rolodex in my mind, basically, I'm thinking, one, there was this instant connection, and then who can I connect you with, or who can we be connected with to continue this growth and this partnership? You see, Jesus' model, he always sent his disciples out on an assignment in two or more. There was only one exception I read where he only sent out one disciple.
And we know who that was.
And that was Judas Iscariot.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
So partnership, we're partnering with God.
Yes, we are.
You know, in the workplace and in the marketplace, when I'm listening to individuals, and I always ask this question, what in the workplace, be it your office or wherever, what breaks your heart? And when they share with me, you know, the negativity, some would say even, you know, how toxic it is, and this is not everywhere.
Yeah.
But, you know, I submit that not only, you know, that breaks your heart, but that is God's heart,
God's heart.
also that's being broken. And that's his invitation to you to join him in a work, to be that
Yeah.
change agent.
And we have to be trusted with
Yes.
that. And I'm speaking now from the ministry gift that God has given me and the heart for ministry that he's given me, because many of us partner and we do things together.
Right.
And the first thing is, just because you're married legally and you live in the same house doesn't mean you have partnered.
Right.
You know, we got to get some things together because we're false flagging, as,
Yeah.
as the
Yeah.
people would say.
Right,
We're
right.
false flagging, magnifying the look of a man and a woman who has not really joined forces
Right.
in their heart. You know what I mean? Now, let's come into the workplace.
Right.
You know, if we're not healed as a man or a woman, and I'm speaking particularly of a woman, because even as a woman, a man can only do, and correct me if I'm wrong, what a woman allows. Am I-
For my laughter, that's
That's
yes, I am
confirmation
agreeing.
because of your
Yes,
laughter. Okay, thank
absolutely.
you. I had to just check in with a man real quick. So God is trusting us as a woman.
Yes.
That even for myself, and I'm going to use you and I for an example, and there's many, Devetta, I can trust you because even though you can hear a man's heart, it doesn't give me the right to tip over into things to disrespect you as a man and more so your wife
Right.
who has been standing with you. See, even though I haven't physically met Charlene,
Right.
it's because she's in your life
Yes.
that I have an admiration for her, woman to woman, and now I am standing with her.
Right.
So many of us, even in the workplace, we tip over, and that's why they have so many sexual harassment
Yeah.
things, you
Right,
know,
right.
because in the workplace, you're doing the work. You have the ministry, whether you're in the workplace or in the church,
Right.
but your heart still needs to be healed that you may
Absolutely.
stand in the occupancy representing God as he created man and woman.
Absolutely. And it is a heart matter.
And our hearts need to be healed
Yes.
because when somebody have victimized you, and we all have been victimized, okay? Even as a people, we've been victimized. A lot of us are still carrying pain and suffrage from our ancestors of slavery.
Absolutely.
So we all have been that, but there is no relationship without Christ, without healing,
That's right.
that your soul may be healed. Now, let's go back to the partnership.
Right.
Just like when you say you first met me, your Rolodex started going. You know what I mean?
Right.
But because of what we do in the marketplace, I believe God has partnered us
Yes.
that you can be trusted, not only by God, but by
Right.
your wife to go
Yeah.
out there. And she's like, I know my husband.
Absolutely.
I know my husband.
Yes.
And even if she did get with him, she'll bring him back home. You know what I mean?
Right.
Quick delivery, FedEx.
That's
you
right.
know?
That's
Thank you,
right.
Charlie. But even though God can trust me,
Yeah.
that he can partner myself with you, that from a woman's perspective, she can trust me.
That's right.
Because it's not about that. It's about our mission
That's
and
it.
our purpose
Yes.
and our work. And I think too many people are working in the church, in the ministry, and in the workplace, as we talked about before,
Right.
and don't really understand their purpose.
That's it. That's it. You know, and see that is so key. See, we lost that.
We lost it.
We lost that going back to in the garden.
Yes.
Yeah, and you've heard where some have said, well, work is a curse as a result of the fall, you know, of Adam and Eve's sin. Well, work was happening before the fall.
Yes, it was.
You know, God modeled work for Adam and Eve, and Adam and Eve, that was the first partnership.
was-
Let me go
the
back.
first partnership was God and man.
That's right.
It was God and man.
That's right.
And so we have to look at it though, and you're absolutely right.
Right.
Because God placed man in the Garden of Eden. He
Right.
placed him there.
Yeah.
However, God had made provisions for him.
That's right.
Now we hadn't come on the scene yet. Woman hadn't come on the scene.
Right.
So this was a partnership between God and man.
Yes.
And so he put him there, but he made all the provisions, and he gave him one instruction. It's a particular tree
That's right.
that you do not eat from. He gave the instruction to the man.
Right.
And because that man had work, that man had a garden to attend to, that man, that was his purpose.
Yes.
His purpose was to continue to produce as you till the land,
Right.
keep the garden, cultivate the land. And he said, man, you can't do this all alone. I need to give you a helpmeet.
Right.
Now, I ain't gonna start preaching to you, but you cut me in vain. I'm gonna give it back to you. But I'm gonna challenge your thinking for a
Right.
minute, and you could correct me if I'm wrong and
Okay.
come back at me.
Okay.
is that man who needed a helpmeet, which was a woman, but yet she wasn't his wife. That's why God needs to trust one. You don't have to be a wife to work with a man. God just got to be able to trust you to help him with his mission.
And see, and that's it. Mission
And purpose. There you go.
Those two things.
There you go.
Now, I would say, I believe, because of the fall, we lost that.
We lost it. But why was the fall taking place?
Because of man's disobedience.
And he listened to the woman.
Right.
And that's why I said before, man was made to hear the voice of God, not the voice of woman. But that subtle serpent came and manipulated the words of God. Now, woman never heard God say that.
Right.
Woman never heard that.
Right.
But the serpent spoke and manipulatively brought those words in a manipulative. That's why women can be so manipulative. We got to watch ourselves, women, because if our souls are not healed, we can be manipulative and you all can fall prey. Come on now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And tell the truth. Tell the truth, baby. Come on. Don't leave me hanging.
Absolutely. And it goes back to what you said, healing.
Healing.
You know, our hearts must be healed in
Yes.
order, because then we can clearly hear, you know, from God, what is our mission? What is our purpose?
Yes.
You know, it's a step by step, moment by moment. I mean, in the moment. What is he showing
What is
us?
he
What is he
showing?
telling us? You know, like Jesus said when he was accused, he was asked of you know, whose accord are you speaking these things and doing these things? And Jesus said, I only say those things I hear my Father say, and I only do those things that he shows me.
And now we have to understand, as we go to a break, what the heart of our Father is saying. That's why he told his disciples, pray in this manner, our Father. You're no longer just solo act. We need partnership. We need one another. And guess what, women? We need one another before you need a man. You need a sister, a woman who can stand in the gap with you. Perry, that's why we're at the Apex Museum. I am so excited about teaching emotional healing right there at the Apex, where we can see the history of how we became victimized and damaged, with the whole goal was to separate man and woman. I am Dee Collins. I'll be right back. Dunamis Woman Today is what you are tuned into. Perry, stay with me.
Absolutely.
We're going to be right back. Thank you.
Have you visited our website? Go to www.dunamis-woman.com to learn more about us and our ministry and movement as we empower women to dig deeper in their faith and draw closer to the power of God. We look forward to speaking with you and connecting with you on your journey, because God is ready to move in and through you. So go to our website and connect with us at www.dunamis-woman.com.
Well, welcome back to Dunamis Woman Today, and I am Dee Collins, and I have been graciously assigned to be the host of this show, and we have been having some great dialogue, but I want you to really, really connect with us. First of all, connect with us, because I believe everybody, Perry, has a story.
Yeah.
And this platform is for you to be able to tell your story, because we're all in life and relationships and it's become distorted. But God has a plan. We are a part of it, and he wants to bring us back to the original state of what he created us for as a man or a woman. So I want you to connect with me. Social media, go to Dunamis Woman. All of that will come up. You will see my wonderful face in some way, shape, form, or fashion. But please connect with us, because we got a lot going on. We got a lot going on, Perry. But you know what? I love it. I love I love the work God has given me.
Oh, absolutely.
And although the money might not produce the way and to the magnitude that I want it to, but I don't even think about the money, because my work is so fulfilling.
Yeah.
And I believe that's where God wants us from. And he had to rid me from a whole lot of anxiety.
Yeah. You know, and that's one of the things. Thank you for that reminder.
Oh, you're quite welcome. That was for free.
Thank you for that. Because it's doing his work, seeking the kingdom of God first, and all of these other things, all of these things. I mean, he knows what we need. You know, he is our great provider. You know, that's one of the things in my transition after 36 years at IBM, and you know, and I had it backwards.
You
You know,
had it backwards,
and you know, I was saying, oh yes, God is my provider. You know, and IBM was my provision, but I had it back, but I was behaving
Yes, you was behaving.
as if IBM was my provider.
Yes, yes.
You know, and
yes.
God is the provider, and that was just so He's always He knows
He
what
knows,
we
he knows.
need.
And,
Absolutely.
and as we're going and talking about it, and we'll get to the Dear D. Put it in your
Yeah.
hand just in case we
Sure.
get to it. But
Yeah.
I want to say
Right,
this,
right,
you know, that's where it goes back to faith positive,
Yeah.
because we think we're walking by faith,
Mm-hmm.
but we're walking by sight.
Mm-hmm.
Perry, I thought I was walking by faith, and I'm gonna tell you like the old school people
Right.
used to tell me, baby, I ain't new here, I grew here.
Right.
So I have been walking what I strive to do diligently with the Lord since I was 17 years old,
Right.
because I didn't just come to Him, I had an experience.
Mm.
But I was also thinking that it was Him, but when it was really myself making the provision.
Right.
Then when I got really into my work, all those things was prerequisites to prepare me for my work.
Mm-hmm.
And when I had my agency and it went from 3.6 million of a coming in of money to zero, God said, now will you trust me? And I didn't realize in my
Right.
soul,
Yeah.
and that's why we need healing in
Yeah.
our soul,
Right.
our mind and our emotions,
Yes.
because that's the occupancy where Christ wants to sit
Right.
in your soul, that I had so much anxiety, so much fear, so
Yes.
much that. So I'm saying this, that if I had that as a woman, I can't even imagine how it is for a man who has been called to
Yeah.
be the protector
That's right.
and the provider. Now, I was a single woman, and he was my father, and he was making those provisions. So I had to go through a process
Right.
myself. But I can't even imagine as a man, because
Yeah.
God has innately built something in you
Right.
all as protectors
Absolutely.
and providers.
Absolutely. And I'm laughing with you, and I'm not laughing at
Oh,
you.
I know, I got that, I got that. We're mature enough to know that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you begin what you just shared, and the reason I laugh, because what I'm going through right now, it's a teaching moment.
Yes, it is.
You know, it's our Father loves us so much, you know, that He to take us through this. And I have hope, I have faith, I have expectations. You know, I tell you, you talked about healing hearts. What I'm being healed of is in the financial area.
Yes, yes,
You
yes.
know, because I'm beginning to really understand and experience that the finances, God has that.
He has that.
And He has it such that it's freeing me up to do the mission and the purpose that He's called me to do.
And that's freedom.
It's freedom.
And that's freedom.
Yes.
And everything. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I want you to speak from a man's perspective. All of us have to go through something to get back to the heart of the Father. But what He takes His daughters through, which I'm a woman, but I am His daughter, and what He takes His sons through, you are a man and he is a son, may be totally different.
Yeah.
And I believe that that's what's distorting life and relationships right now, because it's causing us to bump heads when we have to allow each other to go through. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Tell me what it looks like for men to need healing. And I'm
Yeah.
asking you that question.
Yeah. So let me share that as for Perry.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
all you can do. You're a man.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
from Perry's perspective,
Yeah.
I like that.
Because we've been given a bunch of lies. We've been told from a little kid, you know, be strong,
Yeah.
and boys don't cry, and we withhold our emotions. You know, I think for a guy, what he wants from his dad is acceptance.
Yeah. Oh, come on now.
You know, that you love me, you know, that I'm yours. And we've been sold a bill of goods, if you will, as to, or the world's definition of a man, what a man looks like, what he got, the way he should think, the way he should act, and so on. But rarely do we're told, going back to we talked about partnership.
Partnership.
This is a partnership.
It's a partnership.
You know, yeah, I think about, gosh, providing, you know, for my family, you know, for Charlene, my kids, being the provider the priest, you know, the
The
protector.
protector, I like that.
You know, but
Yeah.
I can't do that
Without.
without him.
And you also can't do that without the mother, the woman. And I don't understand how we can believe the lie that our children are good when the father is missing out of the home or the woman, the mother is missing out of the home.
Yeah.
Now I have to take it, I can only speak from a woman's
Right.
perspective, okay? And from a woman's perspective, we have to be healed in order to pray for you all to occupy that work
That's right.
as a provider, that work as the priest, that work as the protector, and not only just be the recipient of it, but honor you for it. You know,
Yeah.
I had a 5-day prayer challenge, and I had women up at 5 o'clock in the morning strictly praying for our men.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm still doing the challenge because
And
it's
we
my
need that.
lifestyle. We do. And I told myself, stay tuned, more is
Yes.
coming. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But this has been my lifestyle
Right.
for the last 12, 15, maybe years plus. However, I told one of the ladies on the line as I was ministering to her, I said, you want change in your husband? Honor him as Lord. Do like Sarah did. Say, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord.
Yeah.
I know when my ex-husband, when I say yes, Lord, he got so confused.
But I'm sitting here because I'm thinking the same thing. You know, it's like in today's world.
In today's world.
Yeah, in today's culture and society.
But the principle don't change.
That's right.
And because the healing in his soul needed to
Yeah.
be so severe that
Yeah.
it couldn't come from me. It had to
Right.
come from his relationship with Christ.
Yeah.
That he couldn't even receive. He couldn't receive the caliber of the woman
Right.
that I was giving him as a wife.
Yes.
And it was in his indiscretion. And, oh, come on now. And in his infidelity
Yeah.
that I would say, yes, Lord.
Yeah. And as men, we have to really tap into, you know, when Scripture says we are to love our wives as Christ loved the church. And when I look at, you know, when I read what Jesus went through for us, I mean, he ended up giving his life
Yes.
for, you know, when I went into, when I prayed about this and Charlene was going to be my wife, I had in my mind, and I shared this with her, and she agreed, that it's till death do we part, to do us part.
Yes, yes.
You know, it indeed is a partnership, and the family is such a delicate balance
It's a
there.
delicate balance.
You know, we talk about, you know, the fathers who are not in the homes, either mentally, physically, or, you know, or spiritually. I remember when I used to go on business trips for several days, and I would come home. My kids were younger then. And I could tell, I mean, just being out of the house.
You could tell the difference.
Yeah, and Charlene, her nickname to others is Sarge, you know, so she, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
But I would come home and I would see a difference, and I would walk in the room and not say anything, and everything was.
And I tell women that all the time, and we have to be in a place that we allowed y'all's presence.
Yes.
And I'm gonna tell you, I had to learn. Emotional healing is so important. I haven't always been this way. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Right.
My mouth could tell you a whole lot of stuff. Now I would never say it to a man,
Right.
because my mother would chastise me because she believed in esteeming the men.
Right.
But just by being a single woman and a mother and having to fight this fight in life without the man being a man,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It made me more dominant than what I could have been. So the first part of healing for me was God bringing my tenderness back. And that was a place of vulnerability. And now I'll be like, Lord Jesus, can I get a man just for his presence to be, and everything just shifts when he knows his authority. And I tell women who have that now,
Right.
as I coach them, allow him, especially with blended families.
Yes.
Because even when I got married, my ex didn't have to, he didn't have to come in and correct my children, because I taught them how to
Right.
respect the man.
Yes.
Oh, you might not like it, but you're going to respect.
Right. That's right.
So we
That's
have to
right.
go back to some principles of what the order is for man and woman,
Right.
where we deem your presence
Right.
just as valuable as the presence of our Father in heaven.
Amen.
Because the home and the family It doesn't need that, Perry. It requires
That's
that.
right.
But women, we got to be healed. Men, we got to be healed so we can appreciate what a woman can bring who wants to appreciate your presence.
Right.
Because we get abused too. I've
Yes.
been called some names and it hasn't feel good. And I'm
Right.
like, how can a man call a woman that? So we all need healing. I beckon you to join with us. Perry, I want you to join me just as a meet and greet for
Absolutely.
men and women
Yes.
who say, I am a marketplace leader in my home,
That's
at my
right.
job, at my church. Your home is the first place of ministry.
That's right.
Give me a call, 1-855-BE-DUNAMIS. I want to talk to you, and I will let you all know what we're doing, and you could be in the right place that you may get the right results. Perry, thank you. Time
Thank
is just
you.
not enough for
I
us.
know it's
God
not.
bless you. Next week.
Have you ever heard the proverb, iron sharpens iron? Now that's a dunamis woman. Join Devetta D. Collins, spiritual leader and coach, for Conversations and Coffee every first and third Saturday at Sprinkles Donuts and Coffee Shop, 2000 Mirror Lake Boulevard in Villa Rica, Georgia, from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Be impacted and inspired to take your life and relationships to the next level in 2018.
A man cannot truly love a woman until he has submitted or surrendered to something bigger than him. For me, that is God, and that is my purpose. When you understand that, then you begin to understand life. Then you begin to respect life, and that allows you to respect a woman. Now guess what? There's benefits to this love. When you really start to love, your life starts to change.
There used to be a time where I could meet you and say, hey, how are you doing? My name's Jack. It's nice to meet you. Can I take you out? Versus like submit or click or like or love or all of these different things that are basically taking away the human connection. So for me, I'm old school. I like the idea of a man pursuing a woman. And those are the things that I try to teach as much as possible to women to be attracted to men who are all about that. Not just a guy that just texts you, but a guy that actually pursues you for who you are and the woman that he wants to be with in long-term relationships.
Y'all just try to tell black women not to be in relationships. You just want to keep the black woman single. But here's the issue. We're trying to keep you from the result of what we know is going to come. And when we tell you to wait on the Lord, it means, like I've told you before, it is a binding of the cords together. God is saying, if you're waiting on me, then I'm binding something. I'm doing something that you can't see. And most of the work that needs to be done is not in the one who's coming, but it's in you.
Dunamis won't take an authority.